Hello folks and welcome to Bards and Books. I'm Usman and where have I been? What have I been doing? Oh, I've been reading a lot of Hello folks and welcome to Bards and Books. Been a while, what have I been up to? I've been reading a lot, been on a bit of a self-pub kick lately, reading lots of self-pub as well as other stuff, and a brand new favorite book of all time. I have no doubt it's going to make my year-end list. This book was phenomenal, but I'll talk about that later. Let's get through some of the stuff that I have read. So first up is, well, this is an advanced reader copy for In the Shadow of Their Dying by Anna Smith Spark and Michael R. Fletcher. This is a grimdark / horror novella, and these are two authors that have been highly anticipated by me for so long, you know, being a grimdark fan. So I started here and I am very impressed. I'm definitely gonna dive into the rest of their work. I can't wait. But this is just a really fun, quick, action-packed book. Very high stakes. We're in the middle of a war, a siege that's happening, and these characters are just going through crazy stuff. We got a demon on the loose. So that's a lot of horror element comes into play there. We got this overarching theme of like the futility of war. That concept gets explored a lot. It's very, very interesting. And these characters are just, you know, morally gray, of course, grimdark. It's gritty, you know, they're humorous, they got that dark humor. It's very funny, very enjoyable. I enjoyed the heck out of this, and I can't recommend it enough. If you're a grimdark fan, if you're a horror fan, absolutely check out In the Shadow of Their Dying. Next up, I read A Sway with Valors Wrath by Daniel Babatola. Took me a while to get to it, but I finally did. I'm glad I did, and it gives me some new perspective. It's very interesting because this is another quick little novella. It's a fantasy, circles around the revenge story for this king who's seeking revenge for after basically losing his kingdom. And what can I say other than Daniel Babatola? This author is, I believe, is 13 years old. He mentioned he's like 13 years old, and for what I read here, so impressed, very impressed by this author. Definitely someone to keep an eye on. I mean, if he's starting out like this at the age of 13, it'll be very interesting to see where he goes. But this one, it was a quick one as well. It was very interesting. It kind of it reminded me a lot of like a classic tale. It very much read that way. It did have its issues. I mean, there was some overextended use of language. There was a bit of convoluted dialogue, but overall, very fun, very unique story, and honestly, I have to keep an eye on this author. Like, if this is where we're starting at the age of 13, I can't wait to see where he goes and how he kind of perfects or hones his skill. So that's going to be very interesting. A Sway with Valor's Wrath, Daniel Babatola. Next up is Rise of Dresca by Tim McKay. Now, the author sent me this. Since then, he's decided to republish the first two books, this book and the second book, into one volume. So it'll be longer. It'll be kind of tweaked here and there with some additional stuff as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But I thought I'd dip my toes into here, see what I can expect, and it was pretty fun. I mean, this is only a couple hundred pages, so another short book, but very, very action-packed, very quick-paced. I like how the magic system in here is explored solely through the characters. We get very intimate with these characters, and we explore everything in their minds, you know? It's on the go, it's action-packed, quick-paced, and we're exploring it, you know, as we're constantly moving around and doing stuff. So there's no exposition, nothing that feels like an exposition, and I'm very excited to read The Fall of Sylvandria, which is going to be the republished version of this Dremir Chronicles Book 1 and 2. And next up, a familiar author, Michael R. Fletcher. I read The Storm Beneath the World. This is his latest novel. It came out April 5th of this year, so decided to ask for an advanced reader copy. He supplied me with one. Had a lot of fun. You know, this is my second Michael R. Fletcher novel, and I feel like this is an author I'm going to enjoy big time. You know, being a grimdark fan. His writing style is very well done. It's humorous. It's got those dark elements that I love, And this one specifically, The Storm Beneath the World, it's so unique. We got like this insectile, evolved insectile race of creatures. He makes their culture fit so, it's so fitting, these insectile creatures' culture. But at the same time, it's so relevant, you know, so many themes and conflicts that we as human beings deal with. So I find it interesting how he's able to take such a unique race and culture and have it resonate so well with us, with readers, you know? So very well done there. It's a very interesting, unique world. And I believe there's going to be another one, and maybe a duology or a trilogy, but it left on a pretty interesting cliffhanger, so I can't wait to continue that. There's a lot of room for possibility. Like, there's a lot of potential for it to go any which way. And it's interesting how the magic works in tandem with each individual character separately. So each character goes through their own thing in terms of, you know, what their magic is or what their ability is. So that was very cool, but can't wait to continue that. I had a great time with that one. So looking forward to more Michael R. Fletcher in the future. And second to last, I listened to Heirs to a Flawed Creation, Stories from Near-Earth by E.L. Montague. So the author supplied me with an audiobook for review, and this just came out recently as well, beginning of April. Very interesting here. It's a collection of short stories, and they all center around like the mystery, crime, slice of life type of story. And it's a very interesting look at what the future could be like with androids and AI. I know the author has an affinity for androids, he mentioned that. But the details and the nuance that he gives this society, this futuristic society with androids and AI is very interesting. It's an interesting, but it's also a pretty dark look at what the future could hold with this technology, and it's an interesting look at the conflict and the benefits that androids could give in society in the future, possibly. If you're into androids, AI, that kind of futuristic look at the world, then read this for sure. And now we get to the book of the year. This has been making its rounds on BookTube lately, and I can say now for good reason. This is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. I read this twice. I read this in January, and then I read it in March. I had to read this twice because it was that good. I mean, it's an homage to our ancestors, you know, the storytelling of old, oral storytelling, that kind of traditional look at it. Such a unique structure. I mean, I've never read a structure like this. It's got every type of POV imaginable. I don't know how he brings such depth to this story just from little sentences here and there of like passing POVs. We just get into their mind for like a quick second, and it just enriches the story so much. Jimenez has very poetic prose, but it's at the same time, it's accessible, it's easy to read, and it has its moments of just such beauty, it's so poetic at times, and it's not difficult to read at all. So if you're worried about that, don't worry about that. Anyone could have a good time with this. I would recommend, this is one of the few books I would recommend to any fantasy lover, anyone, or, you know, any reader in general. Just read this book. It's very, very interesting. It pulls at your emotions, it pulls at your heartstrings. It has very, very dark moments, very tragic moments. So I should mention, if you don't know by now, that Evie from She Was Only Evie recommended this, as well as Dan from the Black and Blue Collar Reader. If it wasn't for them putting this on everyone's radar, I probably would not have checked this out, but I'm so glad I did. This book will have you flustered in terms of giving a review. I don't know what else to say. It's so good. So that is my book of the year so far, and it's definitely gonna make my list at the end of the year for top books of all time. We'll see how that goes, but I don't think there's not much that can top that. That was good. That was amazing. So those are all the books that I've read recently. Now, what do I have coming up in April? So I'm gonna get to The Eye of the Bedlam Bride by Matt Dinneman. This is book 6 in Dungeon Crawler Carl. Been going through a LitRPG journey. If you haven't followed or seen yet, I have a chat for every book with my buddy Nick, who I've been reading it alongside with. We've been having such an amazing time with Dungeon Crawler Carl. Book 7 is not out yet. I don't know what we're gonna do after this, what we're gonna dive into next. If you have suggestions for continuing on this LitRPG journey, what should we get to after Dungeon Crawler Carl while we wait for book 7? Please let me know in the comments what other good LitRPG is out there. I'm very much looking forward to The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, and very much not looking forward to having to wait for book 7 after that. So if you can recommend something to hold us down, or maybe just get us totally immersed and gripped in something else in the meantime, that would be awesome. Let me know in the comments. Next up, and this is a little out of place here with everything I've said so far, but I am diving into The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. If you don't know, this is a classic work. I am doing this as a buddy read with Chris from A Fictional Escapist. So we're reading Inferno in April, Purgatorio in May, and then Paradiso in June. So this is gonna be a trip. I don't even know what to expect. I mean, it looks pretty daunting, but I'm very excited but very nervous too. Is there even a way to prepare? I don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna go into it. I'm gonna make the best of it. I'm gonna enjoy my time, because I do enjoy, I have enjoyed the Dantes Inferno game as well as the short movie that's out. So I like Dantes Inferno, and its roots come from this, so very much looking forward to this. The Divine Comedy, Dante Alighieri. Starting my classics off with this. And then after that, I am picking up Order of Light, Book 2 of New Blood by W.D. Kilpack III. If you don't know, I read Book 1, Crown Prince, in January. Absolutely loved it. It was a huge surprise, had a great time. So I had to order this one and get to Book 2. It's long overdue. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to become of these characters that we've become so intimate with, and where the story goes, how it progresses, because yeah, I had such a good time with Book 1. I talked about it in a previous self-pub video, so you can check that out. But yeah, Order of Light, Book 2, W.D. Kilpack III. Now, after that, I am reading Desperate Dispatches by Mike Molman. This is long overdue as well. It came out a while ago, but I'm gonna make the time for it, and I'm looking forward to getting back with maybe some of the characters that we're familiar with. I know I've dipped into a little bit, so I know there are definitely a lot of brand new characters. Looking forward to how the stories progress. This is another collection of short stories, book 2.5 out of 7. I love Protectors of Britannia. It's a great series. Mike Molman does a great job in diving into this sort of Celtic influenced world and characters. You know, it's got druids. I love druids. So definitely looking forward to that. Desperate Dispatches. And that is it. After that, got some more self-pub stuff coming up. Continuing buddy reads. Here's another thing. I don't talk much about the stuff that I watch, well, because I don't really watch anything. I don't know, I'm not big on watching TV shows or movies or anything like that, but a good friend of mine recommended The Mandalorian, and I'm 3 episodes in now, and I'm hooked. That's a good show. That's a very interesting show. And I have seen some of the Star Wars movies, so, you know, I guess you can consider me a bit of a Star Wars fan. So, yeah, I'm enjoying The Mandalorian a lot, looking forward to continuing. But that's it. That's what I've been up to lately. Let me know what you've been reading. Lots more fantasy coming, as well as dipping into some other stuff. Maybe some horror, maybe some, well, more sci-fi. I want to get into that as well. But yeah, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Have you read this book? My gosh. Oh, so good. So good. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and I will see you next time.